Hello YouTube. Well, I started this channel, or I started thinking about this channel, thinking I had some stories to tell. And thought some of those stories would be about traveling and RVing and living in a van. So this will be a practice video today to see if I can come up with some pictures that go along with the story. And I've picked a story that is back at the beginning of my recollections of going camping. It was in Yellowstone Park. And I picked this not because I'm going to tell any stories in chronological order. I just tell them as I think about them, or what's on my mind today. But I was thinking about this because I found a picture of the camper that my mom and dad bought. I think it was in 1952. And I would have been 7 years old. And they drug that camper from South Dakota to Yellowstone Park for my dad's 2-week vacation for 7 years in a row. So there's a lot of memories about Yellowstone Park and camping and the bears and all the other animals and a lot of stories. But anyway, the one I want to talk about today is the island in Yellowstone Lake. Yellowstone Lake's pretty big, and there's a fairly good sized island out there. It seemed really big when we were a kid, and we always wanted to go out to the island, but we never could. Dad and Grandpa had a boat, but the park had a rule, and the rule was that you couldn't go out over 1/4 of a mile if your boat was 12 foot or under. And I don't know if it was more than 1/4 of a mile to the island, but Dad said it was, and he would never take us out there. The boat they had was a rubber boat, and they had a gas motor for it. It was really good for trolling for trout. Seems like I have an audience over there. That's just fine. He probably doesn't speak English anyway. Anyway, the boat it wasn't 12 foot long, it might have been 10. Rubber boat, and we used it to troll for trout. Maybe I'll do this later. So we used to troll for cutthroat trout, and we were pretty good at catching those. They were really, really good to eat. And of course, back then, they were probably natural or native fish. They weren't something that came out of fish hatcheries. So they tasted good. At least as a kid, we thought they did. Anyway, we just bugged Dad and bugged him and bugged him and bugged him to go out to that island, and in 7 years of bugging him, he never would. Rightly so. So move ahead 20-some years, and my brother and I bought a boat. It was a 17-foot lapstrake, a 75-horse outboard motor. Had a little cuddy cabin, and we built bunks above the V-berth for our little kids. Bunks were about 3 feet long is all, but kids were small. And we spent a lot of time in that boat in the Willamette River and the Columbia River and going out to Devil's Lake and Syracuse Lake on the Oregon coast, and we had a great time in that little boat. It was the first little boat we bought. But my brother and I got this idea that we would go to Yellowstone Park, since we had a boat that was more than 12 foot long, and go to the island. So we called up my dad and said, "Hey, we're going to Yellowstone this summer, and you're going to meet us there with your motorhome." So he and Mom met us, and we took that boat and we went out to the island. The island didn't seem quite as big as it did when we were a kid. It was pretty small when we got there. So that was kind of a disappointment, but on the other hand, it was a dream. realized. And my dad, he found a little piece of driftwood about this big, and it had like, it looked like the face of a cat with the cat ears at the end of it. And that was our memento. That was the thing that I kept. I may still have it 50 years later. It, it was just the thing that reminded us of having realized a 20-year-old dream. So that's my story for today.